Hello everyone, Pineapple here with the first episode of Doctor Who Series 15, or Season 2, The Robot Revolution. This episode comes after Empire of Death, which was a thing, and Joy to the World, which was surprisingly nice. And this episode is already starting the season off well by surpassing Space Babies by far. With everybody and their mum calling for the doom of Doctor Who being near, I was ready for this episode to be terrible. And while not amazing, it's definitely positive. And like I said before, starts off Series 15 far better than what happened last season.
Space Babies!
So without further ado, let's get into the yays and, of the Robot Revolution. We start off with a younger Belinda and her mid-boyfriend, him getting her one of those Name a Star cards and naming a light, which is strangely bright in the night sky. I think he mixed up Miss Belinda Chandra with Sirius. This is actually a Chekhov's gun being loaded in more ways than one, and I like the subtlety here of the comments Alan makes and how that develops in the story down the road. It's nice to see Russell do some forethought that isn't ruined by the God of Death being killed by bungee cord and naming a baby by pointing at a road sign on a lamppost. This lamppost almost giving me PTSD. 17 years later, the Doctor arrives at Belinda's hospital in a not so well done shot for some reason. And I might have missed something, but how does he know Belinda's going to be kidnapped? Looking at the episode a second time, 15 later mentions someone told him about Belinda, which I guess we'll see in a later episode, but I did miss that on the first go around. We're introduced to Belinda's work as a nurse, and making her the Doctor's second nurse companion after Rory. Although, I think Molly was a nurse, does that make 3? And Belinda is already easily personable, a little sarcastic. She feels more active than Ruby in a couple of ways though. And after finishing this episode and having the Mundy Flynn connection flyby, I think the main problem comparing Belinda to Ruby is that Belinda seems separate to the things happening around her, whereas from her introduction, Ruby is far more integral to the overall plot. So when the overarching narrative doesn't work or feels shoved in, it means, bar 73 yards, Ruby can feel a lot flatter than Belinda seems in this episode, even if Belinda makes some choices the script can't really back up. 15 tries getting Belinda's address from, is that the pram lady? And debuts what I think is a new Sonic colour, loving the banana yellow. Also in design is the Doctor's outfit. He rocks the Belinda Chandrian garb well later, but I'm not sure I like his initial outfit. I like the colours, but the short coat over the shirt, vest and skirt, I don't know. Belinda's home is slightly humorous and relatable, but is ruined as the robots come trundling in, taking the plaque and kidnapping Belinda. The robots are a bit chunky, but I liked their design, and the physical comedy mixed with the deadliness reminds me a lot of the emoji bots and the robots from the Empty Planet in the Sarah Jane Adventures. But I love the mix of what seems like mostly practical effects with some digital touch-ups. After some cat murder, which makes me hate these robots infinitely more than anything else in the story by the way, Belinda is taken away. Mrs. Flood, her neighbour oddly enough, seeing her off and running away before the Doctor can see her.
You won't see me.
Also, while I like the toy-like design of the ship, sort of 50s chic, where are the scorch marks from the flames of the takeoff and landing? I'm sorry, but that's a 0 out of 10. I'm never watching Doctor Who again.
Toast. A little piece.
15 chases after Belinda, and once she tells the robots they should be going after Alan instead, time goes wibbly. The same thing happening for the Doctor. It's a nice effect, but maybe a little overcooked. It's fine as it is, but might have been better shortened if only by a couple of seconds. Landing on Miss Belinda Chandra World, the robots try to install her as Queen, and it's pretty apparent thanks to Sasha 55, played by Evelyn Miller, the robots are in deadly control here. There's a cute little polishing robot I knew was going to be instrumental in the end, and he doesn't disappoint. And we see 15 has already installed himself as the historian of the people, communicating to Belinda cleverly that a while ago the robots glitched and can't understand every 9th spoken word. And while a little out of left field, this is used to great effect throughout the story, both here and later, pacing and script-wise, but it's also shot really well.
Careful.
The robots reveal she is to marry the great AI generator, giving Tiger Rock vibes. So I thought that this would be a commentary on ChatGPT or Grok, something like that. And leaks indicated the same, but its name is just to set up a clever pun later, so it was a little odd. But since I don't think the script would have done commentary on this topic very well, it's probably better the way it is. Belinda is told the AI generator wants to bond with Belinda, almost Cyberman style, but more Superman 3. But the Doctor gives the word for all of the humans to strike, the resistance rising with some pretty good action. The Doctor and Sasha trying to ferry Belinda out. Sasha, having been the Doctor's companion for the past 6 months, dying in front of him, causing another shooty cry. But I felt this one was justified. Taking the polish spot with them, and Muscle Man over here that the story pretends is important, but I'm sure doesn't get named in the episode, but is called Manny in the credits, played by Max Parker. Manny is really quick to blame Belinda. And while both her and the Doctor adamantly remove blame from her, Manny keeps reminding Belinda he hates her. And that will somehow change her mind enough to reactivate the polish spot and its tracking device to be recaptured. And while it does well to show Belinda won't let other people suffer for her, but overall the heel turn feels slapdash and lazy. Belinda gets a nice little scene acting like the nurse she is, helping people and reminding 15 of Monday. Meanwhile, 15 is worried as the diploma Belinda has is identical to the generator's one. The same item displaced in time, meaning boom should they touch. Belinda fixes a guy's arm and thank God this species doesn't have a different muscle and bone structure because instead of putting his arm back in place, she could have ripped it off. The other timey-wimey aspect is introduced as 15 hit a time fracture, no not that one, a barrier of sorts between this planet and Earth. 15 appearing 6 months beforehand, explaining his hair growth.
Hello, robots.
Manny is a fuckwit, so Belinda does her thing and gets herself captured, taken to the generator ready to accept her fate. The generator talks to Belinda, and after repeating something Alan had said, he reveals himself to be a robotized Alan, taken after Belinda said they should have taken him instead, and the time fracture meaning he arrived years earlier, creating the sort of bootstrap paradox, where she sent for him and in turn he sent for her and in turn she sent for him. His name actually Al Generator, and this is certainly a more clever twist as first believed, because people thought this was going to be Omega, although I'm not sure why, if AI is actually Al, the word generator was put on there, but I suppose you could just call him Al.
You can call me Al.
Belinda is shocked and we flash back to Alan's kidnapping, being taken by the robots and getting put at the top of the food chain. And in his incel and gross personality, he goes power mad, even has this Moriarty looking bloke killed when he questions the machinery that technically comes from their future. So Alan then subjugates the planet and we get the reveal he was just a bitch the whole way through.
You've taken coercive control and made it complete control of the whole planet. Planet of the incels.
The ninth word concept comes back as Alan is warring with himself. It's really well thought out, even continuing as his next every ninth word would be Belinda, mine, and forever. Even if it doesn't work all the way through to the end, the polish bot comes in clutch, ferrying the current diploma to Belinda, allowing her to touch it to Alan's, causing major feedback that she only survives thanks to 15's interference. And while I'm not totally sure what's going on here, I was impressed and interested by the way they took the visuals, looking like John Pertwee's intro. Although I've no idea what comes after, the Doctor apparently having saw through Belinda's life, whatever that means when paired with this weird flashback. Alan is reduced to a sperm and an egg, and the planet is saved, no longer under Al's influence. And Muscle sees the duo off, claiming the Citadel will now be named Sasha 55 in her honour. 15 does a funny little dance, and they go through the whole bigger on the inside rigmarole. But while 15 wants to know how the diploma gets to where it needs to be in the future, Belinda calls him out on the madness, death and misery, and his unethical business practices. So he reluctantly agrees to just take her home with no adventures, after talking about the whole spatial genetic multiplicity thing with Monday. But he is unable to do so as they just bounce off the correct date. Why he can't do what people have been saying about Angels Take Manhattan for years and just land the day before or the week before and hang out for a bit, I don't know. But now they have adventures to go on, the season arc hinted at as we see famous debris and a cab floating through space. So, I really enjoyed this episode, but critically it felt like there were one too many holes. And there were a few aspects like the time rift and the certificate that probably could have used more fleshing out, even if they are going to be brought back up later. But Belinda had a pretty good start. The human characters were mostly negligible, but I feel like the mix of comedic tone and drama fit really well. There were well thought out details like the 9th word rule that are followed more 98% of the time than 100, so a lot of clever things, but there were small details and moments that were just middling or in one case really frustrating. So I think I'll be starting this series off with a 6.5 out of 10, much like the previous Christmas special. I am leaning more towards a 6, but certainly not a 7. But looking at the reactions from people who actually like the show, not Bolstrek or Nerdrotic or that one creepy psychopath who makes thumbnails with entirely too much text, racism, and a violating sexualization of women, the general consensus seems to be a happy one. So I'm glad that a lot of people enjoyed it, and I'm excited for next week. Even if, with all the hints, I'm a little afraid that we might be going into Empire of Death territory this season. But I'm hoping in the end it will stick the landing, learning from last season's mistakes, even if it was filmed pretty much straight after. Thank you everyone for watching my first review of this season of Doctor Who. Please like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you wish, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, ring the notification bell so that you're told every single time that I make an upload. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Bye!
Toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.